Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Megan. I'm the Mood Read Queen. And today we have a very special video because it was requested by my very dear friend, Emily. And I don't know why she thinks I'm qualified to talk about this, but I'm trying anyway. So hopefully you get something out of this too. But if only one person views it, well then, such is life. So Emily is trying to get into reading more romances. And she lives in Wichita, in Kansas, and which is about 4 hours away from me. And she's going to be leaving the country for a year to go teach in South Korea. And so, one of the things she wants to do while she's over there, I mean, she's obviously going to be trying to do some reading, but she wants to try some new things as well. And so she's read a few here and there. She's read 2 of Emily Henry's books. But anyway, I don't know why I'm giving you this deep dive on my friend Emily, but she wanted me to give her some recommendations on like romances for like newbies, like people who are looking to break into the genre. But I will just tell you right now, if you didn't already see some of the books that were in the thumbnail for the video, I'm not like some like, I don't know, monk on a hill or whatever when it comes to like contemporary romances that are popular and fun and interesting and unique. I haven't read a ton of them. And I mean, I pay attention to them, but there are so many out there and they get so much attention, which is great, which is fantastic. But I read a lot of other stuff too. And so, trying to come up with a list of books that I thought would be good for someone who doesn't read romance a lot in terms of like contemporary romances was harder than I thought. At the same time, to give myself some credit here, I would like to think that I'm pretty discerning in the romance books that I do choose to read, and the ones that, you know, someone might talk about, that sounds good to me, I pick it, because a lot of the time I just say no to them because they just don't really, there are a lot of plots that don't interest me. So I'm saying all of that, and so when you watch this, you're going to be like, either A, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or B, like, I don't know, she does. So just like keep that stuff in mind. I've read some, haven't read a ton. They are definitely ones that you've heard of before. Probably most of them. And what I'm going to do in this video is I am going to try to keep it under 20 minutes. That's the goal. We are going to move quickly because I don't want to spoil anything for Emily or anybody else watching this. But I am going to try to tell you like why I picked it as a book that I wanted to read, because again, I don't read very many of them, so when I read them, it's for a reason, usually. Not that other people don't have reasons as well, right? And then what I liked about it, without spoilers. So that's what I'm going to try to do, okay? Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is physical books first, and then, what is this? Physical books first, and then I've got a list of 5 that are on ebook. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so, hey, look, there's a hat that I wore the other day and didn't put away. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is spoiler alert. That is, like, not the best lighting. Let's try that. Okay, so, spoiler alert, the reason I'm recommending this one over the second book in the series, All the Feels, is because there is some crossover between the two. If you made me choose, I would pick the second book, All the Feels, which I have sitting right back there. But I think most people can appreciate moving chronologically within a series, and though these do overlap time-wise a little bit, you do start with this couple. This is about Marcus and April, and the basic plot is it's kind of You've Got Mail-y, which I'm a big fan of, that kind of stuff. So Marcus is an actor, and April, I forget what April does for a living. She does like the cosplay, but she has a real job. I don't know. I forget what it is. And they meet because she's being made fun of by some fans online after she posts a cosplay from the show that he stars in. And he decides to take her on a date, and that's how they meet. But also, they realize that they also have a lot in common. And that's kind of where the story goes. I picked this book for a couple reasons. Number one, the cover. I saw the cover. I saw this woman here, which she's not thin. Okay. And I saw, spoiler alert, and I read the back, and the words fan fiction. And I think what else on the back? Cosplay, fan fiction. That was enough to get me like, ooh, this is it. So what I liked about it is it doesn't have if we're going to do really good representation of anything, okay, but especially like I take the plus size rep very seriously, I don't like whiny shit. And there is, I think, some well-deserved, maybe some trauma related to that. But she's not whiny about it. And it is not a huge plot point, necessarily. And our hero also has some things that he's struggling with. And there's a great representation of learning disabilities. And also in the series as a whole, okay? So if you like fandom stuff, this is a great one to start with, because I often feel like in romances, I can't find myself. And this was like, ooh, I can see that. So that's why I like this one. Okay, so that's the first one. I'll try to move faster. Okay. So then, of course, the Unhoneymooners. This is the only blasphemy, the only Christina Lauren I've read. I do have a couple more that I've got at thrift stores. But this one just like spoke to me, so I got it. The reason why it spoke to me, this is about Olive and Ethan. And Olive thinks that Ethan doesn't like her. He is the brother of her sister's future husband, and there's a wedding at the beginning where her sister gets married to Ethan's brother, and everyone gets food poisoning. And the only two people who didn't eat the food were Olive and Ethan. And they end up going on this honeymoon together. And I love the fake dating thing, but this was different because they're going on vacation together. So they've got to convince a very specific group of people while they're doing all these activities, and then you've got the whole perceived enemies to lovers thing going on. Olive, I think I also liked it because she's like, it says she's down on her luck. She just lost her job. Olive isn't plus size, but she's like, she's a curvy gal, which I appreciated that as well. She's like, has a real figure. And Ethan was honestly fresh. So I picked it up because I thought the concept was interesting. And it really is worth the hype, I think. The third act, sometimes they have that third act miscommunication, but I feel like the ones I'm recommending to you handle it well, because otherwise I wouldn't recommend them, because otherwise it would have ruined the whole book for me. Okay? So anyway, the Unhoneymooners. It's a good one. And also Ethan is adorable, and there's this scene where they're on this boat and he puts his head in her lap and she just like brushes his hair with her hand while they're on the boat. It's really cute. Okay. So then, of course, everyone and their dog has also heard about the Kiss Quotient. Also, I have not been saying the author's names. I believe this is Helen Huang. If that's not how to pronounce it, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Huang. I think it's Huang. So this one gets a lot of great attention because of the autism spectrum representation. The three books in the series have that. I've only read the first one, so don't at me, okay? But this is Stella and Michael, and I thought this one was interesting to me because they do the fake dating thing, but she actually hires him as an escort to teach her about intimacy. And so she has trouble like relating to people and socializing and that sort of a thing. And intimacy is something that she also struggles with, likely because of Asperger's. And so But it just sounded interesting to me because I mean, I know that trope has been done a lot. Ooh, I'm going to hire someone to teach me about sex, but also like I want to hire someone to teach me about sex. So, anyway, and then Michael is very patient. He's just like this. He's not doing what he wants with his life, but he wants to get there, and he's working to try to help his mother, and he is just a good person, and he doesn't have to do what he does in this book, but he does, and no one asks him to, and it's well done. Even though, I mean, it's unrealistic that someone would hire someone to teach them about sex, but happens in enough books, right? Anyway, it just does a good job, and the connection is real. So when they start, like, really connecting, like, I mean, they connect personally and, you know, they get to know each other, but when they start having, like, physical intimacy, it's lovely. So, there's that one. Then, of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention Red, White, Royal Blue. I try to have some, like, decent representation in these two, but also, like, if you know anything about me, if you follow my channel at all, if it's gay, I'm going to read it. And sometimes if it's gay, I'm not going to read it because I'm afraid it's going to make me cry. But I did read this one. It did make me cry. I loved it. And, of course, I'm following every single online update about the filming of the movie. So, but this is really... If a book about a fictional first son of a female president who is mixed, his dad is Latino, and a fictional younger prince from a monarchy that does exist in England, but he's not Prince Harry, okay? If they can be sort of rivals and then realize they were wrong after being forced to spend time together, and then realizing that they like each other, and have a cross-continental, like, talking on the phone, texting, globe-setting romance that still feels realistic and, like, touches you. I mean, really. There's a reason why people are talking about this book. I don't know what to say about it. It's so good. And the fears, well, yeah, like the fears that they have are so valid. Like for anybody. And it's like also the lies you tell yourself. You know, it's Alex and it's Casey McQuiston who wrote this. And she has a couple other books out and I have not read those yet either. So, okay, sorry. But you have Alex and Henry. Alex is the first son and then Henry's the prince. And they have to have, like, there's, like, some things they really have to think about. And how much of yourself do you sacrifice once you know who you are? So, it's really good. And, there's some beautiful lines in this. I'm sure there are beautiful lines in all of these. And in fact, there's a moment in, spoiler alert, that, like, was like incredibly powerful, I think, for anyone who reads it, not just women who have a lot of fat on their bodies. Yeah, there's some beautiful lines in this, and it's just, I think it shows you how you can get caught up in the whirlwind of a relationship, but how do you bring that back down into something that you can, like, actually do every day? Yeah, okay. Now, this one. It's going to be a very short summary, but I wanted to recommend it because I read this, like, I can't tell you how many times when I was a teenager, but I haven't read it in years, but I know I loved it, and I know, like, it's one of the reasons why I keep going back, like, to romances, or anything that has a romantic element in it. Again, we're not a romance channel, though. We're trying not to be anyway. Okay. So this is hard to see. It's by Meg Cabot. People don't talk about Meg Cabot anymore. I think I said this in another video, but she's still putting out books. I have not been reading them. Honestly, it's just because I haven't been in the mood a lot of the time for contemporary romances. But this is called Every Boy's Got One. And I remember my mom, I was like 16 reading this. And my mom, I mean, listen, my parents didn't teach me about sex. You know how I found out about sex? Fan fiction. and then books like this, and then other things later. But anyway, it's a miracle I know anything at all today. But I've done a lot of self-educating. But anyway, I loved this because it was funny and humorous, and this came out in 2004, I think. It's pretty old. And it's also told in different, it's not quite epistolary, but it's like texts and emails and like journal entries and stuff. And I have a soft spot for that kind of a thing. Like, it's why I love Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, which I did not talk about in this. I'm going to be using it soon for another video. But this is about Jane and Cal, and I think they might show up, and there's 2 other books in this series, but I am recommending the 3rd one because I don't quite remember how much the crossover is, and in rereadings, I only ever read this one, so I think it's safe. But they are going to the countryside in, is it France? It's La Marche, for their friends, Holly and Mark, but they don't get along. And so it's like this antagonistic friend, like enemies to lovers thing, but like they always have to pretend to get along because their friends are friends. And I'm really not going to do a great job explaining this at all, but I had to include it because it's also one that I really want to reread. And I remember just really loving it, and, you know, maybe give it a shot. Okay. So then, let's go on to the ones that I have digitally. So the first one, and I'm kind of dipping my toe in a couple different pools here. So I thought we would like get a little bit of everything. So the next one is called Blindsided. It's by Amy Dawes, and it is a sports romance. I do love myself a good sports romance. And this is about Mac, I think, and is it Freya? And so this is when I get my trusty cellular device, because I wrote down the titles of the books and their authors, and I didn't write down the titles or the names of the characters. Yes, so Mac and Freya. And this, I loved this because you rarely, and okay, I want to say something super obvious here. When we talk about books that we love, we say a lot about ourselves. So I make assumptions about people I watch on BookTube. You will make assumptions about me. Are you correct or incorrect? Who's to say? Okay. But I just think it's interesting. So this Mac and Freya have been friends for a year. They're like, we're besties for a year. And I'm like, I don't think you really know that until like a couple, whatever. So she decides she's going to start dating in earnest again after, not really dating the entire year they've been friends. Mac is a soccer player, and she's a seamstress. She's also plus size, and she's ginger, and he's ginger too, and he's Scottish. Oh my God, it's so cute. And by soccer, I mean sorry. Is it soccer? Yeah, okay, it's soccer for us, but it's football for them. That's what I meant to say. So anyway, they end up doing a I'll teach you about sex thing because she wants to date more, and he thinks he has her pegged as someone who really only becomes physically intimate with people if she knows them very well and is very close to them, and if she loves them. But what he doesn't know, and what he will find out eventually, is that no, the reason why she wants to get out of the way is because she's going to be 30 soon, and she's a virgin. Yes. So anyway, it's just really sweet because, of course, you've got a little bit of miscommunication, but it didn't bother me as much because I can understand where they're coming from. They have this friendship that they thought was built on just enjoying spending time in each other's company. But then the longer they think about their history, even though it's only been a year, they realize they really have liked each other for quite a while. So the representation is really good, and he has, I think, realistic fears, and they both do. But sometimes I feel like the guy gets a bad rap. So It's just really well done. I really like it. Then the next one, we're going to talk about Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So I am kind of cheating on this one because I'm not done with it yet. I'm like 29% something. I started listening to it on the way home last night from Wichita. So I listened to it for a good chunk, and it is delightful. I picked it because I knew there was good representation for both plus size character and a character that has like chronic pain. Could be also, if you wanted to consider, like disability representation as well. And so it's very funny and sweet, and I think also relatable. So it's about Chloe, and her family's wealthy, and she comes from money, but she does have a job, and she designs websites, and she decides she's tired of like not living her life to the fullest after she has like a near-death experience. So she ends up moving out on her own, and she's 31 or something, 32, and she has this antagonistic kind of non-friendship acquaintance with this guy named Red, and he is he has tattoos, he rides a motorcycle, he paints, but he's like the superintendent of their building or whatever. And so it's their story, but it's like they think they have the other person pegged, but they don't. And the narration is just, it's sort of like whimsical. Like you almost know that you're being told a story, and it's really enjoyable. And he's not afraid to own the fact that he's not afraid to own the fact that he likes her. They're not together yet at the point where I'm at in this book, but I know they will be. And the way that he talks about her is just like, we all dream of that. So it's great. I would recommend. Then Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. So Boyfriend Material just got a sequel. I'm not going to rant about any of that right now because I haven't read it. A lot of this is probably you thinking that I don't finish series, but I typically do. But it's different with fantasy versus like romantic books for like contemporary romances. So this one is fun. It deals with a lot of parental relationships, and so does spoiler alert as well. But what do you do when you do not have a good relationship with your family or one family member, your parents? And it's about Luke, and his dad was a rock star. And he's always just been kind of famous, but not really. And Luke's, kind of been on the outskirts of that. But he is now working for a nonprofit. And then he meets Oliver, who is a lawyer, I believe. And he is like the perfect guy, or at least that's what Luke thinks. And instead, you get this really interesting look into both of their lives, but it's from Luke's perspective, because they end up doing a fake dating thing to sort of like clean up his image, but also to get people to stop asking Oliver if he's with anybody because he had a bad breakup. But I like it because they hold off for a long time before it gets like personal, and the parent thing is just very relatable. And again, so I hope the thing that you're getting from this is like, not that other ones I'm not talking about aren't worthwhile and don't talk about important stuff. Like, because these aren't super heavy either, but they're not like the lightest, airiest thing either. Like, I think the best contemporary romances hit close to home because we live in a contemporary world, right? And we're all different. And so I think it does a good job. And of course, like, they're both out. And the coming out thing is complicated in red, white, and royal blue. But it's a little less complicated in Boyfriend Material. Not that you can... People compare the two. They're not really any comparable at all. The cover makes it look like they are. But they're not. So everybody's British, I think. So, the end. Okay, but it's good. And then the last one I'm going to talk about, oh no, I have two more. So we have The Seat Filler by Soraya Wilson. So I listened to the audiobook of this one as well. This is one of the first ones I ever listened to. And some people don't like Soraya Wilson, but again, here we go. I've only read one Soraya Wilson, so I can't tell you if all her other books are, not great or whatever. But I liked this one, and I thought it was sweet. So it is, the concept is interesting. That's why I picked it up. It's about this girl who has to fill a seat at an award show, because that's an actual job that you can have. She's doing a favor for her best friend's fiance's mom, who has a company, and she ends up sitting next to the most famous celebrity at the time. And it is immediately obvious that it is an Adam Driver kind of esque character. And I love Adam Driver, so I was like, duh. And it's interesting because they meet in a totally embarrassing way. Love me some secondhand embarrassment, even though sometimes I had to stop. And then he has a dog, and she does dog washing and dog grooming and stuff because she started her own business. And again, I think we're noticing there's a slight trend in here about teaching people how to do stuff. But again, and these might say a lot about me too. So just, okay. But I like this one because it's about, Juliet and then Noah. So Juliet has this, and this might sound ridiculous, okay? I can't say I related to her 100% on this, but I can see where she's coming from. So she has this, basically a phobia of, kissing people. And it's not germy or anything, but she had a traumatizing experience when she was a kid. Not something, abusive, okay? But she can't get over it. And she hasn't been able to. Now, has she tried that hard? I don't know, okay? But she ends up deciding that she wants to try with Noah because they become friends, and he really likes her, and he makes that known to her. But she's like, I gotta tackle this. But yeah. So it's she's also there's also a little bit of, she knows who he is. But when they met, she lied and said that she hadn't seen any of his movies, of course. So he thinks that she likes him for him, and she does, right? But I liked it because, that seems like a small problem, and he has other stuff he's dealing with too, right? But that seems like a small problem. She's afraid of kissing people, that seems ridiculous. But it was very down to earth, and especially for a book that's about also a celebrity. And I listened to the audiobook and I liked it a lot. So it's fun. And we all have that meet a celebrity kink, right? So it's good. And then, last but not least, I'm going to try to talk quickly here. I have If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. So I'm putting Julie Murphy on here because I love her dearly. And If the Shoe Fits is there are a lot of reality TV show, books out there. Ones that I've had friends that have told me straight up, don't read that. It's not good. The representation isn't great. And so but I knew Julie was going to do me right. Because I follow her on Instagram and she's awesome. And she's going to be in Wichita next weekend. And I found that out when I was in Wichita this weekend. And I was like, I can't go. Because I could have freaking met Julie Murphy. And no one ever comes to where I live because it's boring. So, If the Shoe Fits is about this girl. Her name is, and this is in a series. Oh, crap. Oh, so a year ago, my review says, I think I loved it. I think I'm going to have to stop being a 5-star hoarder and give this one more credit. I think I'm going to have to finish this review when it's not 4:30 a.m. That's the time I finished it. I never went back and did anything with it. Wow. Okay, so it's Cindy, and then, what's the guy's name? Cindy and Henry. Okay, so Cindy graduated from design school. She is plus size, and it's good rep too. She is confident and sassy, and she wears great clothes, and she loves shoes, and she meets this guy on a plane, and they have a little bit of a moment. And then he's gone again. And her stepmother produces like a bachelor type show, and they need someone pulls out and they need her on there or something, and so she does it. And from all accounts, this is better than One to Watch. I have not read One to Watch. I do not intend to. But it's interesting because they already know each other before. And she becomes like his kind of sanctuary in this crazy bachelor show. And he's doing it, this Henry from the plane, because his family's like fashion design business or whatever is like struggling, and he needs to help save the company, and maybe this interest will help. And so he's not attached to anything happening, but then she's there, and it's really good. And there's like a scene where she has to go pick all these clothes from like their line and put together an outfit, but like none of the clothes fit her, which we've all been there, hopefully. I mean, so anyway, it's I liked it a lot, and it was good. So I don't know if that's what you were looking for, Emily, but there it is, and it's one of the shorter videos I've made in a while. But I do think that there's a ton of great romance books out there. Maybe more than there needs to be. Now that's not true. But I personally, just poke myself in the face there, personally speaking, I like the ones that like I can relate to the most, which again, these are our personal recommendations, but also I hope that like other people can relate to them as well. And again, a lot of the ones I recommended are incredibly popular, but I liked them too, which I think says something, because sometimes things are popular and I won't read it or I don't like it. Like Emily Henry, we're going to have to talk about her another time, because there's some things I have to say. But, not bad necessarily. But, anyway, so if you're thinking about getting into romance, I would really consider, like, thinking about, like, romantic comedies that you like. Like, what kind of, vibe are you going for? And, like, pick a trope and go with it, because there's so many great things to choose from. So that's it. I hope that was helpful. I'm sure that was the like 1,000,000th, newbie romantic contemporary recommendation video that's on YouTube. So no one's going to watch this. But all right. That's fine by me. All right. Farewell. Bye, everybody. Okay. Sorry. Actually, not goodbye. Actually, I forgot something. I keep forgetting to do this, and it's important. In the comments, if anyone watches, okay, again, I don't want to make that assumption, but if you do watch, if you have a favorite, like, contemporary romance, what is it? And why do you love it? So it doesn't have to be very long, like a couple sentences, okay? But, like, what is it, and what specifically about that worked for you? And, is that, like, a trope that might show up in other books, or was it more specifically something about that story? Because I think that would also help people, is just to have like a list of recommendations going in the comments. So now I'm done, and now I'm saying goodbye. Okay, bye.